Old Alabama gardener here. Today we're talking about growing pinto beans, and of course at the end of this video we'll do a little cooking. Folks, have you ever tasted some food item and you said to yourself, that doesn't taste as good as it used to? This video is about such an event. This year, for the first time, I grew pinto beans, and when I cooked them and tasted them, it was as I remember pinto beans tasted like when I was a child. The fresh, grown, picked, cooked pinto beans have so much better flavor. It's almost unbelievable that the difference in how they taste. So at this video, then, we'll do a little cooking and we'll do a little tasting. So I invite you to hang in until the end and see what it looks like. Here I'm applying an organic fertilizer that I mix up. Now here I'm placing 2 pinto bean seeds at each point about 8 to 10 inches apart. And the reason I'm planting 2 is in hopes that at least one of them will sprout and I'll have a good stand of plants. Now cover them over lightly, maybe with about 1 inch of soil. Here I'm using a rake to do that. And even though I planted 2 seeds in every point in this middle row, I still don't have a good stand of plants. For shell-out beans, the pinto beans are ready to pick when the skin or the shell turns yellow. If it gets dry, then it's beyond the point of harvesting for shell-out beans. So now let's get ourselves on down this row. We want to get these beans picked, get in the house, and start shelling them. This is one of 3 containers of pinto beans that we're going to have to process. This is one container already piled out on the table, and I'm getting ready to start shelling them. How do you shell a big pile of beans like this? The answer is 1 pod at a time. So here is our shell-out beans, and after I get the rest of them shelled, then we'll be ready to can them. And in this bowl is the ones that had already gotten too dry, so we'll work on those later. First thing we got to do is wash them up, because even though they were in a shell, you wind up with quite a bit of dust in the process here. Now we're ready to start canning. The left pot has boiling water, the center pot has hot jars, and the right pot is the pressure canner. First thing we got to do is boil the beans for 5 minutes. So now we're ready to start putting the beans into jars, and I'm only going to fill a jar about 3/4 full, and then we'll fill it up with the hot water. Now, even though I'm filling a jar 3/4 full of hot beans, after we do our pressure canning, which I'll show you later, the jar will be full of beans and all the liquid will be pretty much absorbed. Now let's fill the jar up with hot water from where we boiled the beans. We'll run a chopstick down in there to get the air bubbles out, and then we're ready to cap it. Now I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then we'll be ready for the lid. Always be sure to wipe the rim of the jar with a wet paper towel or a wet cloth to remove any possible thing that will keep your lid from sealing. So now we put the ring on, snug it down, and put the jar in the pressure canner. So here we are. We got the jars in the pressure canner. We're ready to put the lid on and bring it up to pressure. Okay, our time is up as far as our pressure cooking time, and we're ready to open the lid and see what we got. During the pressure canning time, the beans in the jar have expanded. They've absorbed some of the moisture, and the jar is full. So now it's the next day. The jars have cooled down completely. I've washed them, washed the lids, and I've marked the lids with the date of 7 September 2017. Yep, that lid says pork fat. That's the best seasoning there is for your beans. Now you know with pinto beans, we got to have a pan of cornbread, so let's put some cornbread together here real quick. Now mix all the dry ingredients together really well. Now we want to melt this butter. Adding a half a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar is real important if you're using just plain milk, but I even like it in my buttermilk too. Now you want to add your wet ingredients and stir them in. Then we're ready for the baking pan. I'm going to use an old cornbread stick pan. It's an old cast iron pan, and it's been in the oven, so it's already hot, and so it's going to start cooking right away. Okay, so let's make us up a plate. I've got a couple cornbread sticks. I've got a half of a deviled egg. I've got some pickled beets up in the top, and I've got a nice bowl of pinto beans sprinkled with some chopped up onion. And now I'm going to add some pepper salts from a jalapeno pepper jar. Alright, here's our plate. Homegrown pinto beans, cornbread, deviled egg, beets. That's good. That's really good. Alright, let's try this. Oh boy, that flavor is really, it's really over the top. I mean, it's really off the chart good. If you had homegrown pinto beans, you'd never want to go back to store-bought pinto beans. That's so good. Oh, let's put a little bit of cornbread in it. A little bit of cornbread. You know what I'm going to say? I wish I could give you a bite of this. I wish you could just taste this homegrown pinto beans and taste the flavor. It is fantastic. That's good. That's really good, folks. Cornbread's good too. Wow. Wow, that's good. To me, these pinto beans taste like pinto beans used to taste 50 years ago, 60 years ago. They always had a real good flavor, but they got to a point where they didn't have that flavor anymore. This is good. This is so good I'm forgetting to eat the other stuff. That beef pickle. We made that back in the spring. That's really good. So always I like deviled eggs. So some deviled egg. It's just plain old, good old country food. That's all it is. Wow, that's good. Alright, so you saw me grill these pinto beans. Now we canned them, and then we cooked them. So these came out of a jar. Good.